The world was dying. Resources becoming more and more scarce. The world government had to do something, or else humanity would be on the brink of extinction. So they did. The government ceased and began rationing all food and water sources. People were herded and forced to live behind walled cities called communities, or they wouldn't receive their daily rations. Life behind the walls was rough. Survival of the fittest was the law for most. Gangs ruled the streets, stealing rations from those weaker and claiming territories for themselves. Law enforcement was gone except for the few government agents stationed to protect the hospital. Then one day, the red rain fell and changed everything. It was a day like any other. Only difference was the noticeable gloom in the air. Cloudy days were rare now that the world was in the shape it was in, and rain was non-existent. So when the first drop fell from the sky that day, most people ran outside to welcome it. That's when disaster struck. The rain wasn't normal. It wasn't even water. A red liquid was falling from the sky, covering everything and everyone. Panic spread. The red rain was hurting people. The symptoms seemed to vary from person to person. Some people's skin would burn at the very touch of the rain. Some were knocked unconscious. Some were completely unaffected. And for those less fortunate, death was the penalty. Even with all this chaos going on inside the walls, the true effects of the rain wouldn't be felt for weeks. It didn't take long for the survivors to realize whatever the rain was, it had been meant to kill them all. They waited for the government to send answers. They waited for an emergency relief squad to come and give assistance. Hell, they even waited for a ration airdrop to fly by so they could eat. But those answers never came. That help never came. And those rations never arrived. It was like the world had completely forgotten about them. People were on the verge of starving, surviving on whatever rations they had hoarded in case of a rainy day. That's when they started to notice the changes. The rain had changed those who survived it by making them a little stronger, a little faster, or in rare cases, dramatically changing them. People began to manifest abilities that seemed to come right out of a comic book. People were doing the impossible, teleporting, creating fire in their bare hands, manipulating plants. The list goes on and on. It didn't take long for the gangs to take notice. They quickly and aggressively began recruiting those with abilities in a rush to seize control of the community. Fighting over territory began, and the destruction followed. Something had to be done to stop this. Someone had to become the force to end this constant cycle of violence before everyone ended up dead. Eventually, someone did. And not only did they save their community, they ended up saving the world.